Hey Marley, thanks for joining. How are you?
Good. How are you, Mark?
I am doing okay, but I want to keep it real. First is good news. My social media is down because we're very busy onboarding loan officers. We've hired some people. However,
That's okay.
Black Knight, who tracks this stuff and has been tracking it since the year 2000, says that mortgage locks in December for the second month in a row hit the lowest levels ever. Right?
hmm
Down 39% year over year, 75 or 79% from the peak, whatever the numbers are. It's all bad. But before we got on here, you just told me personally it looks like, or at least anecdotally, or maybe you have some stats for it, that showings are way up so far here in the new year. Give me some good news so that I don't jump off a bridge.
Yeah. So one, it's like first it started as an opinion, right? I was like, me, all the agents on my team, agents that I know, everyone's like, holy shit! Like showings are going insane. Like I had a panic attack on Saturday because I was so busy. I'm like, here we go again. It was the same way last January. The first week of January was insane, but that's an opinion. Um, so I just looked up on showing times. We use showing times, which is how you typically request to go and look at a home to see like what the showings have been like the last 130 days, and I just looked at the last 10 days. And showings are, I don't know if necessarily they're up because I haven't done that much research based off of like, I need to go and see what the showings were in November. But we can look it up through price points of which houses are getting the most showings. And in the last 30 days, between 550 and 600 price range, Mount Pleasant, over 127 showings.
Yeah.
So showings on our side looks like it's speeding up. The holidays are over. I think people are kind of getting used to the interest rates, but obviously on your side, you're seeing something different.
Well, part of it's refinances, but actually, so I'll give you the numbers. It's 68.3% year over year decline, and 45.8% just over the last 3 months, over the previous
Mm-hmm.
3 months in terms of overall mortgage activity. And this is an industry that like there's a lot of manpower involved in loan origination, and a lot of the cost is manpower, and so devastating for our industry. Tons of layoffs everywhere. Really good people that I know, 20 years of experience, can't find jobs right now. And
Yeah.
so, and while there's been some opportunity for my company individually because we're small enough where we haven't really lost anybody at all, and we've been able to recruit a bunch of people from other companies that are struggling to make some of those things. As an industry, like we're a rising tide lifts all boats, but when the tide is going out this fast, you find out exactly who's not wearing their bathing suit. And right now, it feels like we're very concerned. I'm very concerned about what that looks like for us, and so it's good to have any information. So what it sounds like to me is just knowing Mount Pleasant and the price range you mentioned. This is first time home buyers, right? Because by the way, if you're a first time home
Yeah.
buyer, you don't think so. You think it's not first time home buyer.
No, I do.
Yeah, right.
I do.
Because here's the thing: if you already own a home and you have to sell that house to buy something new, and by the way, for you people out there, you might not have to. In fact, there's a real thought or a strategy which is rent out your current place, keep it, and just buy something new if you're going to buy. But because I do understand not wanting to give up your 2.75% rate that you got 2 years ago, and that being an asset. But that's an asset that you can leverage by renting that house instead of selling it potentially if you want to go buy something else. That can help you offset the initial higher cost potentially of a mortgage at a higher rate right now, which probably is temporary because we talked about rates are potentially going to drop. So you're doing these showings. Are people actually able? Is it that they can't find a house that meets all their requirements in that price range when they're not buying, or is it when they look at the final number in terms of what their monthly payments are going to be, they're just worried they can't afford it?
I don't think not affording it, but I wrote an offer this weekend, and just hearing what his monthly payment was, like to me, like my body hurt. But to him, he didn't know any different.
Right.
So obviously, like he's a first-time home buyer. He knows no difference between like, hey, this is how much this house costs, and this is how much it's going to cost me all in monthly. And he's like, and I'm okay with it. He's like, me and my wife sat down, and we thought, this is like the less money that we're ever going to have in our life. This is the less money that we're ever going to be making in our life. Like, we're okay with this payment. We're comfortable with it right now. And we know we're going to statistically stay in this house for 6 to 7 years. So to me, was it shocking? Yes. I think to anyone that bought a house last 2 years, that monthly payment is shocking. But to the consumer that hasn't been in the market, they don't know anything different. So we are getting those first time home buyers that they don't know any different and they just want to purchase a home, and now their out of pocket is a lot lower than it was last 2 years, even though they don't even know. Like, we need to stop referencing the last 2 years with these buyers.
So how are we with inventory? Are there houses to show?
Yeah, we have a little bit less inventory than we're used to, as in like the last 2 months, more than the last 2 years. We have in Mount Pleasant, I think, a little like 1.4 months worth of inventory. And I was going through so I can see on my side the seller concessions to the buyer. So on average, a seller was getting about 93% of their asking price last month. But it looked like on average, the seller was giving around $7,000 to $10,000 in seller concessions, mostly for 2-1 buy downs and repairs.
Okay. So
there was one. Go ahead.
So what we're seeing is we first time home buyers are entering back in. They're like, hey, I don't care. I need to buy a house. Can't rent anymore. Want to do it. Still less people willing to sell some of those homes right now. You're seeing inventory kind of shrink back a little bit because those people, they don't want to sell and upgrade right now because of where rates are. And so we're seeing there's like, it seems to be like an inflection point there. Are you getting bidding wars again on these houses, or like what's going on when we get to the offer stage, or is it too soon to tell?
I think it's too soon to tell. I wasn't too bidding wars this weekend, but obviously that was just my situation. It was very annoying. Like, one house was on the market for 60 days. One house was on the market for 6 days. We wrote an offer on both. We lost both, which was great.
Yeah. By the way, remember for next year, when you're talking to your buyers too, like, I know it's between Christmas and New Year's, but if you have a house you want to make an offer on, you better make it right now, because next week they're going to, even if it's been on the market for 60 days, they might have 5 offers because of people just being ready to buy, right?
Yeah, they're ready to buy. Like, the holidays are over. People are getting used to the interest rates, and they're just jumping. Everyone's jumping back into the market, just like in 2020 when they had like that, strike of uncertainty. Everyone stopped moving. We just had a strike of uncertainty. Everyone stopped moving, and then eventually you just get used to it.
Sorry, I was being. People who are visiting are saying goodbye, and I'm recording. So
No, you're fine.
Awesome. Well, did you have anything that you wanted to bring up today?
I think that we covered a lot that I kind of thought we should cover. It's all very interesting. It's changing every single week. It's something that we have to watch for, what's happening in our marketplace. Sellers are seeing, or buyers are seeing that 93% and thinking they can lowball every single house. But people are getting better at pricing their home for the market, where I do think that sellers are going to start seeing, 97% of their asking price with their.
If you can, for next week, I'd love to know at like different price points if that 93% is higher or lower, right? So in other words, if you're in that $600,000 or $700,000 range, are you getting 98%, and then at the $2 million getting 89%, or is it kind of consistent? I'd love to know if you guys can pull any data on that.
Yeah, we'll break it down for you. And we'll break down some showings and seeing what is happening. It's interesting because when we see showings up, mortgages are going to naturally start going up as well.
I certainly hope that's true. Well, thank you for joining. We're going to keep it short and sweet this week and get it out to all of our viewers. And I'll see you next week.
All right. See ya. Bye.